We're going to develop the rules for adding integers by using the vector model, and we're going to explore using a memory tool to help us remember these rules. The magnitude of a number is its absolute value. The magnitude also tells us the length of the vector that represents this number. There are four combinations we need to consider: a positive plus positive, negative plus a negative, negative plus a positive, and a positive plus a negative number. Looking at adding two positive numbers, both of the arrows are pointing in the same direction, to the right. Did you notice that the length, the magnitude of the answer is larger than the magnitude of each of the addends? Also, the two arrows are pointing the same direction, which means the answers and the addends all have the same sign. So when adding two positive numbers, you find the magnitude of the answer by adding the magnitude of each addend, which means add the absolute values of my addends to find out how long the arrow is for my answer. To find the sign of your answer, you're going to keep the sign of the addends. All of the arrows in this model are pointing in the same direction. So if I'm adding two positive numbers, the answer will stay positive. Now what if I add two negative numbers? Did you notice that the magnitude of the answer, how long that arrow is, its absolute value, is larger than each of the addends? Did you also notice that the arrows are still pointing in the same direction? To add two negative numbers, you find the magnitude by adding the absolute values of each of the numbers you're adding. Then you take the sign of the numbers that you're adding, because all of the arrows are pointing in the same direction. Now consider adding a negative number and a positive number. Did you notice in this case the arrows are overlapping? They are not pointing in the same direction. The magnitude of my answer is smaller than at least one of the addends. The answer is pointing in the same direction as the addend with the greater magnitude, the greater absolute value. To add a negative number to a positive number, find the magnitude of the answer by subtracting the magnitudes of the addends. Subtract the absolute values of each number you're adding. Did you notice in the arrow diagram here, part of the arrows are overlapping and they will cancel out. The green arrow is the length of your answer. Find the sign of the answer by taking the sign of the addend with the larger magnitude, the larger absolute value. In this case, it would be -6. It's a longer arrow. So my answer is negative. What if it's reversed? What if I'm adding a positive number to a negative number? Okay. In this case, you can still see my arrows are overlapping. Did you notice that the magnitude of the answer is smaller than at least one of the addends, one of the numbers you're adding? And the answer is pointing in the same direction as the addend with the greater magnitude, the longer arrow, the greater absolute value. To add a positive number and a negative number, find the magnitude of the answer by subtracting the magnitudes of the addends. The absolute value of 6 minus the absolute value of 3 is 3. Again, part of those arrows are overlapping. They're canceling out. The green arrow is the length of your answer. Find the sign of the answer by taking the sign of the addend with the larger magnitude, the longer arrow, the greater absolute value, and that would be 6, -6 here. When adding sign numbers, did you notice that adding numbers with the same sign is similar? And adding numbers with opposite signs is similar? There's a memory tool that we can use to remember how to add sign numbers, and we call it SADS. If signs are the same, we add the magnitudes and keep the sign of the addends. If the signs are different, we subtract the magnitudes and take the sign of the larger magnitude addend. Here's an example. -6 plus -9. The signs are the same. The signs are the same, so we're going to add the magnitudes of each of those addends, and I get 15. But the sign of the answer is going to be negative because each of my addends is negative. So my answer is -15. Here's another example. The signs are different. The signs are different, so we're going to subtract. We're going to subtract the magnitudes of my addends, and I get 3. But we're going to take the sign of the number with the larger magnitude, which is -15. So my answer is -3. I hope you found this video helpful.